This is lesson 1-6 on relations. Relations is just a fancy way of saying we have a data set of x's and a data set of y's, and we want to see how they relate. So in doing this, we have some vocabulary that we talk about. A coordinate system is just two number lines, an x number line and a y number line, the x being horizontal and the y being vertical, that cross each other. So we're going to have numbers that go along the x, and then we're going to have numbers that go along the y. And then when we put these together, we no longer have two one-dimensional lines. We have a coordinate plane. So we have this whole space that we're dealing with to put our numbers on now, a two-dimensional space. So we have an x-axis that is this guy, and we have a y-axis that is this guy, and on here we have an origin that's right in the middle. The origin happens to be at the point 0 and 0, 0 for x, 0 for y, and we have all kinds of ordered pairs here, x and y. So we get to give an x number that gives us a horizontal direction, and we always find that first, and then we will have a y number from wherever we are on x that gives us a second direction. So we can use the x coordinate and the y coordinate, and we'll find some particular place on our grid wherever our x and our y take us. All right, when we have relations, they're just sets of x's and y's, and we can represent them in ways like this. We can have ordered pairs, like these numbers 1 and 2. 1 is an x, 2 is a y, a -2 and 4. -2 is an x and 4 is a y. 0 and -3, this is the x, this is the y. We can represent this same thing in a table of x's and y's. So you can see the x's are listed here right next to the y's that they go with. We can show this on a graph. So notice if I want to plot 1 and 2, typically you'll have a little more tick marks to find things, but you're going to go over to where x is 1, and then you're going to go up to on the y line there to get to this point right there. X is 1 and y is 2. When I want to plot -2 and 4, I'm going to go on the negative direction to -2 on the x line, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4 to get to this point -2 and 4 on our graph here. And then 0 and -3. 0 means I'm not going to move to the right or to the left. I'm going to stay right in the center on x, and then I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3 to -3, and that's how I find this point. Mapping just means that I have all my x's. It's kind of like a table, but I have my x's over here, I have my y's over here, and I actually draw arrows to show which ones go with which. In this case, the 1 goes with the 2, the -2 goes with a 4, and the 0 goes with a -3. I could have an instance where, for example, I have 0 going with 4, but in this case it does not. When we're talking about relations, we list all the x's as a domain, and we put them in their own set, -2, 0, and 1. These are all the independent variables. So in our data, this is the thing that's doing the driving. It's doing the causing of whatever is happening. And it really depends on what kind of data we're talking about, what that looks like. We're going to call all of our y's range. So really we're just saying the same thing. We just have a special word for x, domain, and a special word for y, range. Notice that I put all of the y numbers in one set together, and we call the y numbers dependent variables because they depend on x. They depend on the independent variable. And we'll be using those words more in the future. So you're going to practice some things in Alex. And go look for part 2 where we'll work some of the problems from your Alex assignment.